All right, introduction of our audience.
What?
Who are you? What grade are you?
I'm Charlotte Newman, I'm a sophomore.
Wow. Thank you for coming tonight.
Yeah.
And that brings us to 4.0 presentation, 4.1 students of the month.
All right. You want to start?
Nope.
Okay. So, Pleasant Hill High School student, most improved students for September. 9th grade, we had Parker Chadden. 10th grade, Ellie Whipple. 11th grade, William Rock. And in 12th grade, Nick Perkins. And our students of the month were freshman Kaylee Johnson, 10th grader Jay Griffith, 11th grader Addie Hyland, and in 12th grade, Claire Crawford. And I extended the invitation for Claire to be here. They have volleyball practice. And Claire, if you don't know, Claire's a senior. She plays volleyball and basketball at Pleasant Hill. She made all league all state in both sports. We ranked #1 in the state. I think they're 20 and 0, I think, and they've only dropped 8 sets all season. So they're having a pretty great year. They were the Pleasant Hill Invitational Champions this weekend. And she does not know where she is going to go to school yet, or what she's going to do next year. She's still in that mode of like not knowing what career field she wants to go to. And she's nervous. As far as Charlotte here, we have a new leadership class I kind of told you about before, so there were supposed to be 2 students here tonight. Brianna is not here.
I think she has a soccer team.
They just, yeah, they
They
got
just, I'm not sure if she's covering it up, but.
yeah, so hopefully she pops in. So, Miss Devish kind of told them what they were gonna do today, or what they're gonna talk about. So I'm gonna turn over what's kind of going on at Pleasant Hill. For sure.
In our leadership class, we've been doing a lot of work on the homecoming dance. We've picked up a theme, which is Mardi Gras, and we've started working on our homecoming books, which we decided the theme was board games, and we've just been doing a lot of work on making pops with butcher paper and cardboard around the school. And I think that's kind of it.
You remember what the classes, what their themes are for their folks?
Yeah, so the seniors are doing Pluto, the juniors are doing Candylands, the sophomores are doing the Game of Life, and the freshmen are doing the Not Really.
And when is
Homecoming, what?
the dance? What's the dates?
Oh, it's October 26th.
Homecoming game?
Oh, and we've also been doing work on making posters for the school, and I've been in charge of the Instagram account and making like digital posters and stuff, so like let people know what we're doing.
How do you like the leadership class?
It's pretty good. It's nice to have time to work on our stuff instead of having to like do our props at home, like we've had to do in the past. And so, yeah.
So, besides that kind of stuff, what else do you guys do or talk about in leadership class?
We talk about a lot of spirit weeks, we talk about game themes, kind of. Most of them are decided by cheerleaders, but we talk about a little bit, it kind of makes sense for it. And I think that's kind of most of it. We talk about what we're gonna talk about at the board meetings, and we talk about, yeah.
Okay. Anything, I know this is gonna be a tough question, you feel that the board should know about student experience?
Yeah.
I guess that's a tough question.
Not yet, it's early.
Yeah. Thank you very much for coming again. We really appreciate student involvement anytime we can get it.
Yeah.
Then you're more than welcome to stay for the whole meeting. Or you go home and do
I'm fine.
it. You're totally fine to go do. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Right. We still have, students of the month, that's just for high school, right? We got that.
Yeah, it's just not finalized yet.
That's right, that's right. I remember seeing that in there. That's gonna be in the quarter. Okay. So 5.0 public forum. During this portion of the board meeting, members of the public are specifically invited to present items of commendation and or concerns. At the discretion of the board chair, Further public participation may be allowed at the time specific agenda items are under consideration by the board. District policy BDDH. For those viewing online, the school district posts the upcoming agenda on our website, pleasanthill.k12.or.us. The Friday before regularly scheduled Monday school board meetings. This will allow for public comment prior to the board meeting. Please click on the tab provided to share your comments for the school board to consider at the upcoming meeting. Personnel matters may not be discussed in public at a school board meeting. Members of the public who have personnel concerns or accommodations should share them directly with the district superintendent. Action item 6.1 consent of agenda. This is, we just approve these all at once.
Yes, you just got the enrollment report and the minutes from the last board meeting and the work session.
Report for 9 September 23rd, 9th board meeting minutes, 23rd board work.
I will go ahead and second. I want to make sure before we get any further, that Jen, we were able to hear Jen if she has anything that she wants to say.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously with 3 votes. 6.2 for alternative programs.
So we have a variety of alternative programs that at times students from our district may participate in. Sometimes, oftentimes, it may be students with disabilities who just have pretty significant needs, pretty specialized needs, where kind of that consolidating resources, right? Us trying to maintain a highly specialized program for the one student would be cost prohibitive, right? As opposed to, looking at more of a regional program. So occasionally we don't have a lot of students at outside placements, but we do have a few. And then occasionally we may have students at the high school level who, not just students who receive special education services, but students that are on a little bit more of a non-traditional pathway, GED, prep tuition, things like that. Occasionally, we may have students from year to year that, for whatever reason, that's a better fit program. So annually, we look at the programs that in the region where we have students or may have students, and those come to the board for approval. You'll see right now the ones on illicit Bridgeway School, the MLK Education Center works with the Department of Youth Services, generally serving like our adjudicated youth, and then a couple programs to Looking Glass, Centerpoint, and Riverfront school facilities. Recommendation to approve that list. Those are can do's, not have to do's, right? But those are just places where we might find students we can serve this year.
Any follow-up questions for Whitney?
Was there any particular reason it was just those two and not all?
The recommendation should include the Looking Glass at Centerpoint and also the Riverfront School person. Are they actually connected though underneath the Department of King Center Education Center as one? Yeah, I think they're part of that Department of King Education Center.
I'm sorry, I missed that. Mine says we're recommending Bridgeway School and MLK Education Center.
Yeah, so in that Martin Luther King Education Center, you've got Department of Youth Services.
Oh.
That's And then,
I, okay, thank you.
All right, well, your motions.
Grant's recommendation.
I will second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. 6.3 approved personnel action.
the next personnel action has to do with. Just a little bit of it's an oddity within the way in which TSBC figures licensure for a complete year. I just noticed I got a mistake in there. So second paragraph in there. The ORS requires 135 days. So once a teacher is, once the teacher has worked 135 days in a year, that is seen as a year's worth of service, and they should go from a probationary 1 into a probationary 2. So we had an individual who was on a temporary contract in the 21-22 school year, and then hired under probationary status, but because they worked 135 days and that, even though it was a temporary contract, they should have started probationary 2. So this year would have made them a contracted teacher. So recommendation is that board of directors approve the personnel action for licensed employees as reflected in this resolution. And the addendum, which essentially takes the individual that's mentioned in the second page of that report from a probationary 3 to a contract 1 teacher.
Any follow-up questions for Jim? I will go ahead and move to approve personnel action resolution 2425.137.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. 6.4 approved board goals.
So the exhibit that I sent to you after the fact, relevant data really recaps what we did during our work session, and what came out of that was essentially 2 goals. One of them, utilize our upcoming board work sessions to explore assessment opportunities in alignment with district initiatives. And the second one was to increase visibility and presence at school and community events, and to report back to the board during the board communication part of regular board meetings.
All second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. 6.5 approved superintendent evaluation.
So attached exhibit, this one is the 24-25.38 that outlines superintendent's goals and evaluation timeline. That was presented at the board of directors regular meeting on September 9th. Along with the OSBA Coastal Superintendent Evaluation Workbook that details the evaluation process for reviewing the timeline. So to have in front of you is the actual goals that we talked about during that September 9th board meeting. So recommended that the board of directors approve the 2025 superintendent goals, timelines, evaluation process as presented in the exhibit and reviewed at September 9th board meeting.
Evaluation, 24-25.38.
All second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. All right, board inspection 7.1 board policy review.
So we got you, if you're in person, we got you a hot paper copy as well. And I'll do my best. Jen, if you need me to stop or give you time to scroll through, just say something.
Okay, thanks.
First page, that's the board policy review. The relevant data recommendations. And on this, and then it goes into, I guess the way I've got this separated for you is that first board policy review page has everything And then the next pages will have more detailed information for each of the sections. So for example, under recommendation, you've got civil rights coordinator and the board policy AC, which is non-discrimination. It is a required policy, and then you can see that this is actually an update. Under procurements, it's got board policy and ARs around DJC and DJCA. They also then have the recommendations with that. So you see DJC bidding requirements, versions 1 and 2. The recommendation would be delete. And then the new one coming in is a highly recommended, and it's a new policy. And then delete the current DJC AR, and then you've got the new DJC AR, which is an optional. And then you got DGCA personal service contracts to delete it, and DGC the AR for the personal service contracts to delete it. And the reason is because they are now in the policy, so they've taken policies and actually combined and put them together. And then sexual harassment, you've got GBN, JBA, and JBA, GBN. So one of these lives on the employee side, one of these lives on the student side, although they are the exact same policy, and these are both updates. And then the last one is fingerprinting. So the first one there would be a delete. The GCDA and GDDA, the second one you're seeing is going to be required, and it's a new. And the third one is the AR for that, is a delete, and there's not a new AR to replace that. So getting to the first one is around civil rights. Second page, you'll see the exhibit around civil rights and then the summary. So this is around House Bill 2281. Essentially what has taken place is that they've outlined a civil rights coordinator. And so each district now has to name a civil rights coordinator that is within their district. So if you go to this, where you're going to have to skip through a little bit of records here. If you go to the actual non-discrimination policy, you'll see the gray or highlighted section is the change, because this is an update. So the change is this: the board designates the insert position of titles as a district civil rights coordinator. The board directs the superintendent to designate the district civil rights coordinator and make the contact information available to staff, students, and parents. What I can tell you is I currently serve as the civil rights coordinator for the district, so the recommendation is that we would place my name in there. And that is the end of the non-discrimination. It was just that one piece there, adding a civil rights coordinator and designating who that is. Questions? Discrimination. It's an easy one. Okay. The next one you should have is procurements. So OSBA recommends deleting the current version of the DJC bidding requirements and the AR exemptions from competitive bidding and special procurements, DJCS personal service contracts, and the AR on personal service contracts, and then replacing them with the new proposed versions of DJC and DJC-AR. The proposed DJC outlines the procurement requirements for small procurement, intermediate procurement, regular procurement, emergency procurement, sole source procurement, and personal services contracts. Additionally, the proposed policy DJC bidding requirements reflects the new amounts for the procurement levels passed in House Bill 1047, which went into effect on January 1st, 2024. Policy also defines public improvements for purposes of the procurement levels, defines community benefit contracts, and the construction manager general contractor procurement. The proposed administrative regulation DJC-AR exemptions from competitive bidding and special procurements has been updated and continues to provide guidance for procurements which are exempt from competitive bidding and our special procurements. Just to kind of, I think, summarize or encapsulate, what this really did was take a couple of our policies and put them into one, and then increase the limits that were done in the House Bill 1037, and also update the AR for that as well.
Increase the limits for what?
For the amounts of when the bidding requirements changed.
What else?
And so then follow along with that in your packet is where you will go and find the actual policy itself. And it's a pretty lengthy policy, so it's 6 pages total. But within that one policy, it takes care of all of our procurement situations. So small procurements, intermediate procurements, regular procurements, emergency procurement, sole source procurement, special procurements, personal service contracts, public improvements. But again, the biggest change with that was updating the amounts and then combined the policies into one. I think this is. Yeah. Questions on procurements?
I don't have any.
Next one is around the sexual harassment definition. So in the exhibit, under the summary, House Bill 2280 modified the definition of sexual harassment affecting schools and has since been followed up in revisions. Revised definition changes the meaning of assault within sexual harassment context and adds a section describing the meaning of, within quotes, without consent, which is also a new definition added to the law. So these are updates. So if you go to the policy for sexual harassment, you see page 1, there's no highlights, no changes. We're going to go to page 2. Under number 3 is where you'll see the first mention of consent. So assault when sexual contact occurs without consent. And then the definition without consent means an act performed A, without knowing, voluntary, and clear agreement by all parties to participate in a specific act, or B, when a person who is a party to the act is incapacitated by drugs or alcohol, unconscious, or pressured through physical force, coercion, or explicit or implied threats to participate in the act. See here is there's going to be 2 policies, but they are the same. Again, one of them lives on the personnel side of our policies, one lives on the student side of the policies. Questions on sexual harassment things? One is on fingerprinting. So the recommendation is that this is policy GCDA, BDDA is clear. Delete the one that is currently on the file and to approve the new one, which is required. Summary page of that. So newly revised rules regarding fingerprinting collection offer the addition of a statewide vendor identified by the state of Oregon, the Department of Administrative Services, DAS, as an authorized fingerprint collector, and remove the option for volunteers to appeal to ODE on a fitness determination issued by ODE. The other resulting changes come from a decision to have a standalone board policy. And so what you see with this one is not a whole lot changes for us here. It should be highlighted, sections of it. And when they say standalone, so we also have an AR with this, part of the recommendation would be to delete the AR. Within this policy, it gives us the directions that we need to act as an AR. It will spell out when we may approve somebody, so we have lots of times where we have volunteers, for instance, that will go up the criminal history report. They will mark that, yes, they've had been arrested under a crime or been charged with a crime. It won't be a crime that's listed on the list that would exclude somebody from volunteering within a school. And then we'll get the criminal history back and actually have that. Those ones run to me and I get to make a determination of whether or not. A lot of them will be, for instance, it would be a DUI arrest from 25 years ago. And no other records have come up since then, so we'll allow for that person to come in and work with kids. The other part of this is, it also requires that, and this isn't necessarily new, but it's explicitly stated in the policy now that individuals who want to volunteer and will volunteer in the capacity to work with kids alone and unsupervised have to go through the fingerprinting process, not just the criminal history check. About criminal records checks, fingerprinting. What feedback as far as how to do this really well, because there was a lot of legislative updates in the last legislative session. So what you've seen here is the civil rights, procurement, sexual harassment, and fingerprinting is, if there's no comments or changes, I will take this and we'll move it over to the action item for next board meeting. And what you'll see under board discussion is a similar packet, and we'll, this should take about 3 meetings to go through board discussion to get through all the changes of the policies that you approached.
Understood.
Does it work well in that packet?
Yeah. Yeah.
Policies for tonight. Work down.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll move on to report to information, 8.1 elementary school report.
All right. We are looking at attendance regularly, and our attendance report as of last week, we had 82% of regular attenders, so 82% of students are coming to school more than 90% of the time. Our average daily attendance is over 95%, and then you can see the breakdown of attendance by grade levels. As we have conversations about sharing data, we'll have 3 points this year where we will share our fall, winter, and spring DIBEL scores. So the 418 students that took the fall benchmark assessment, 130 students fall in the intensive support category, 78 fall into strategic support, 127 students fall into core support, and 83 in like the core plus support. So if you add those together, 208 students relatively below grade level and 210 at or above grade level. So we will work on addressing those needs through our Walk to Read model and many different literacy programs we provide. We have lots of events, previous events that have happened, and I wanted to include upcoming events to help with your goal or visibility in the community. We just had our Jogathon last Friday. It was a great event. The theme was safari adventure. There were many wild animals in the form of blow-up suits running around the track. PTO set an original goal of 32,000 and then extended it to 40,000. And as of today, we have raised over $43,000. And so I will be getting slimed old school Nickelodeon style on Thursday. Because that's what they wanted to do, they met their goal. And our PTO has generously voted to donate 10% of our total earnings to the track and turf, which is really cool. They really wanted to show that, you know, our kids will be using those facilities as they go through, you know, most of them go through Pleasant Hill, and they wanted to contribute to that. So yeah, we have a character trait of the month. September's character trait was responsibility. And we nominate students for those awards who've shown really responsible behavior. We had our first Philly Spirit assemblies last weekend and honored those students. And then some upcoming events. This week is safety week, so we practice a drill every day. Today we've got a fire drill, we'll practice an earthquake drill. It's a variety of drills to get students ready for any emergency. Like I said, on Thursday, we'll have our Jugathon Awards Assembly, and I will get slimed. We have a book fair coming up, and then Spirit Week aligned with the high school. All for today.
Be a good match with it. You and me, you guys gonna be twins? The twins. Good. You like to confuse the kids.
Were the Dibbles scores?
Yeah.
What you expected, better, worse, this time of year?
Yeah, I mean, being new to the community, I didn't like have any preconceived notions. But my familiarity with elementary age students and this type of test, I think, yeah, that's pretty on par.
Right, very much. Move on to 8.2 middle school report.
Great, so in September, we finished our fall universal screening for Dibbles. And a huge thank you, so we, Cindy Fitzpatrick is now our 612 EA, so she lives with our ELA teachers and actually get all of our Dibbles data scored and entered. So if you look at our 223 students who took our fall benchmark, we have 37 students that fall into intensive support, 52 students in strategic support, 50 students in core support, and 84 in core plus support. So that comes out to 89 students that are below grade level and 134 that are at or above grade level. Last week we had an awesome outdoor school for our 6th graders. Ms. Roddy, Ms. Huff, Pritikin, Ms. Mock, and Ms. Hill did a great job. The high school counselors also did a wonderful job helping out at outdoor school.
And the administrator for the case.
And if I do say so myself.
What was amazing?
The administrators, for the first time, we all took a night. It's coming up next week.
Yes, we did.
Survive.
Well,
Y'all survived.
that's right. Regular attenders by grade level, so we're looking at the percentages of students that have 90% attendance or better. Right now, you can see on the graph, it's not longitudinal yet, there's just one data point. So 6th grade, 84% of those students have attended 90% or better, 7th grade, 68%, and 8th grade, 88%, for an average of 80% school-wide. I just want to note, so our goal is to have 90% of our students attending 90% or more. That's obviously below our goal. I just want to note though that the part of the data or part of the data that influences that is that to be under 90%, you only had to have missed 2.9 days on average. So for the students who are under 90%, they miss an average of 2.9 days. So if kids miss sick for 3 days, they're not even paid that measure. Looking forward this Friday, we have our first middle school star student reward. So students who have C's or better in all their classes, we'll get them out of their 7th period to go have an ice cream treat, some social time with their friends. Student Center this Friday. end of the first quarter is coming up on November 7th, so at the December 2nd meeting, I will be reporting out our first of 4 quarterly reports, the number of daily grades.
Call for questions, Caleb? Thank you very much. 8.3 high school report. You, Chris?
How are you? We kind of want to students of the month. We our target policy. We talked a little bit earlier that we're kind of implementing a target policy around school. I didn't get this last week because our target data puller was gone today, but the first, so what we did is kind of set up to where we're gonna have interventions for kids who have 5 or more targets in a week. So the first week was kind of a free week. We did the first full week of school in June, that was a free week. The second week, we only had 5 students that had 5 or more targets. The third week, we had 0 students that had 5 or more targets. So, I don't know, so that's pretty good data right now that we have for that. On top of that, we kind of talked about perfect classroom attendance. So we just kind of, another way just to positively just promote being intact, just be on time. We just randomly, we do a different period every day of the week. So like today would be first period, tomorrow, second period, third period. And then we just, teachers take roll, and they report down to the office if they have perfect attendance in their class. So far, to this point in the year, we have 26 classes that have had perfect attendance. That does mean every 7 periods. It's just that one period each day that we do it. And that's middle and high school. And we take their picture, we only play game of heads and tails, give them a set of beads for a big gift. So it's like a big price of managers to bring them all together. Make a big to do out of that. All of this together, our regular attenders are at 76%. Last year we were 160. So it's just kind of inching that up a little bit. I don't have been diligent about going to the upper parking lot and going to the junior parking lot down at the end, trying to make sure we get those kids in school, and that seems to be doing pretty well. Our average daily attendance is 93.14% overall for the school, and then it's broken down 9th grade or 94%, 10th grade 93%, 11th grade 93%, and 12th grade 92%. Keep an eye on that junior number, because that's one of the things we've done around our school is try to focus on juniors. The teachers that are teaching juniors are trying to tag it a little bit. Because I think I told you last year, juniors historically are just a pass. Tends to get their driver's license, come to school late, go to lunch, come back from lunch late, and they get a little bit of that responsibility and ease into it. So right now they're doing pretty good. On the on-track reporting, just like Caleb said, so we do our grades on November 7th, November 8th is the grading day. So on that December meeting, I'll give you the first of the 4 reports, and I'll be doing like on track. So the kids making sure that all the freshmen are passing at least 6 classes at 90, because even though they don't count, they're not earning credit at that time. But we're treating that, the 8th graders with Paul Griffith, our student success coordinator. We're really pulling those kids out. He has a 4th period kind of set up. One's a mandatory study hall where kids come in that day because the class is working them. The other one is during lunch, kids come in and support, and that's 8th and 9th grades. So we're trying to instill in the 8th graders the importance of the passing grades and credits. We're treating them just like that. We're treating the 8th graders like 9th graders as far as the importance of passing the class. So they're going to get kind of consequences like a high school kid. Same thing with the athletics, middle school athletics, the same thing with the 2Fs, the 3Fs, you're not eligible. So we're kind of just trying to make sure that they're kind of seeing that a transition to where the full tail of kids say that middle school grades don't count. We're really trying to they get that word. Yeah, they do count, and they try to hold them accountable that way. So far, I think things have been going well with that. And then the student communication, we saw that we're supposed to have 2 students. There's 21 students in leadership overall. So the 10 board meetings, the months, there's supposed to be two students here. I think that obviously I'll give them a sheet that they can kind of fill in and answer the questions too, so they're not just coming back.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the next thing I'll do is I'll put together just like a template, and then give it to them, because that's what they discuss, like, fill out the template, and share it.
Or a telephone.
So anyways, it's a great year. Like I said, volleyball team's kind of the volleyball team, girls soccer team, cross country team are doing well. Football team, they're kind of feeling their feet if either 1, 3 or 1 or 4. So the year beginning years got out pretty good.
All right. Thank you. 2024 financial report.
Yes, so it's submitted by Sherry, she's homesick tonight, so our audit is scheduled to take place November 12th. Beginning fund balance presented in your monthly financial statement will be adjusted once our audit is complete. On the revenue side, current tax year has not begun, and any tax payments received through September are jumped back into revenue for the 23-24 fiscal year. We have received our initial double state school dependent payment in July and our regular monthly payments in August and September. Averaging over $50,000 in interest earned per month of the 2 million market accounts. Currently, the LGIP is paying at 5.3%, and our Vanderbilt banking money market is paying 5.31%. The expenditures, salary expenditures through September is $704,906. We'll see a substantial increase when we have our first fully staffed month in October. Benefits total $407,204. Purchase services, supplies, capital outlay, and other expenditures are currently at $131,903. And all our inter-district or inter-fund transfers have been made, with the exception of $35 that have been set aside for food services. Second page of that has a more detailed outlook. Question.
It's like, there are none tonight. Thank you. We'll go to 8.5 superintendent report.
So this exhibit you got in front of you is really a summary of the OSAS scores now that all that has been unembargoed. And I put it into a little bit of an overview or summary with comparison of surrounding districts plus smaller district comparisons. So overview of our performance. So the recent state assessment results for our 23-24 school year show that our students are facing challenges in key academic areas with performance results somewhat below state averages in English language arts, math, and science. However, in some areas, the district demonstrates resilience and shows potential for growth, particularly in specific grade levels. So some highlights: ELA proficiency. Our students had an overall ELA proficiency rate of 33.6%, slightly higher than the previous year's 30.6%, but still lagging behind the state average of 42.5%. Math proficiency, the overall math proficiency rate for the district was 30.2%, which represents an improvement from 26.9% the previous year, and still below the state average of 31%. In science, our students' proficiency rate was 24.3%, showing an increase from 18.1%, still remaining below the state average of 29.3%. Some comparison with surrounding large districts. So this is a comparison with the Eugene, Springfield, Bethel. The Eugene School District consistently outperforms students in all subjects. For example, their ELA proficiency rate is 48.6, and their math proficiency is 36.8. Springfield Public Schools also had slightly higher scores in ELA at 35% and math at 23.5. However, ELA scores for coaching doesn't those performance. Doesn't go out perform them in math. Bethel School District saw a significant drop in proficiency this year with ELA at 31.6 and math proficiency at 19.7, placing them below Pleasant on both ELA and math. For smaller district comparisons, Prescott School District had relatively strong scores with 43.4% ELA and 33.3% in math, both higher than Pleasant. Fern Ridge School District had a 42.7 ELA proficiency rate and 36% in math. The Applegate Lorraine School District had a 38.4% in ELA and at 27.8% in math. And then McKinsey School District had a 46.2% proficiency rate in ELA and a 37.2% in math. The statewide trends. State of Oregon overall saw stagnant proficiency rates across subjects post-pandemic. State averages showed a 42.5% proficiency in ELA and 30% in math. 29.3% in science. While Pleasantville was slightly below these averages, the district's growth in both math and science proficiency suggests a positive trajectory, particularly in specific grade levels. For example, math improvement, most notable improvements in Pleasantville came in seventh grade math, where proficiency rose from 19.2% to 36.1%, almost doubling within a year. And in science, the proficiency, particularly in fifth grade, jumped from 15.6% to 28.2%, and in eighth grade, jumped from 8.1 to 3, both marking significant increases. So areas for focus and improvement. While we show promising growth in certain areas, there are also challenges that need addressing. So grade level disparities, they popped up in the data. So performance across grade levels varies significantly. For instance, third grade ELA proficiency dropped to 30.6%, and sixth grade math dropped to 9.7%. The 11th grade performance in both ELA and math proficiency show critical low points, with ELA at 14.9 and math too low to report, indicating urgent need for intervention at the high school level. And in conclusion, while Blue continues to face challenges, the district is showing resilience and potential in areas such as math and science. And by focusing on grade level disparities, continue to invest in targeted supports, professional development and interventions, the district can continue to improve its academic outcomes. Questions?
Maybe these sorts of reports, I get asked, what's your takeaway? What's your takeaway?
I think what I'm learning from this, and I got to remember, is that the OSAS is really an indicator of how our systems are doing. So I also have to remember that starting in 22-23 was an interim year for me. Brand new administration at the high school. 23-24 last year was the first full year serving as a contracted superintendent, and then had a administrative change at the high school mid-year. And this year I will be starting off with a new principal at the elementary level. So takeaway being that if we do our work in putting our systems in place, it really shouldn't matter who comes in. You know, they've got to have some knowledge and experience to make these things, but the system should be in place, the culture should be in place to be able to make sure that we generate data and showing growth and our systems of support for students and looking at data regularly to see where students are falling, and interventions around attendance and making sure that we're communicating with parents. The other piece of this is what we're seeing is you get two pieces of data if you start to look at the cohorts as they go through. That really starts to look around disparities maybe between, sometimes it can be the way in which classes are formed, sometimes it can be the way in which hires were made. You might have a grade level that's highly experienced where test scores will raise, and the next grade level might be an inexperienced staff where you see them start to come down a little bit. So there's disparities between the grade levels. I think it also shows that we've talked a lot about middle school, and we put a lot of emphasis on middle school and the middle school staff and the students are responding.
What was urgent, that the year could look like?
It's a lot of what they're doing right now, in terms of getting kids interested in school. And you first talk about that junior year. Paying attention, knowing who they are, and they're small enough that we can actually do that other than making the phone calls home, getting teachers on board. I think we've seen a real cultural shift at the middle and high as well, as far as staff coming together. We saw it with some of our middle school staff as far as, you know, what does it look like for backpacks staying in the locker, cell phones, getting, you know, teachers to regularly hold kids accountable for being in class and just raising that general interest around school is important, grades are important, being public is important. Those are a lot of soft skills that would make a huge difference in achievement.
Jen, do you have any comments or questions?
Not right now. Thank you.
Very much. 9.0, any more communication? Business.
I had one thing on board communication. As far as setting up, visiting those other groups, are we putting that off until our work session? Or I know a few of those groups only meet a couple of times. I don't want to miss them.
Yeah, and so I've got some dates that I've outlined, I'll go ahead and share. So in October, tomorrow PTO is meeting here in the community center at 6:30. On October 9th, our booster club will meet in here, at 6:30. October 15th, we've got our OSBA Fall Regional Meeting, which, Stephen has signed up to attend, 6 p.m. in Lane SD. October 22nd at 6 p.m. we'll have our Portrait of a Graduate work group, and this is the work group that's going to be community members, and that will be here at the community center as well. October 29th, we have our Track and Turf fundraising committees. Jen's been attending that as far as the board goes. So looks like for October, tomorrow PTO meeting, Wednesday Booster Club meeting. And then October 22nd, the Portrait of a Graduate work group. And I can send these out in the board update as well, so you have them in the email. November 7th to the 9th is the OSBA Fall Conference. Jen is registered and going to attend that. November 12th is a PTO meeting at 2:30 here in the community center. November 13th is a Booster Club meeting at 6:30. And November 20th is the Education Foundation meeting here at 6:30. And again, I got this, I can make this electronically and send it to you guys as well.
Sounds good.
You want to have people volunteer to take some of those now, or do you want to wait to get those out for everybody to review and give Drew a chance?
You could send them out maybe even before.
Yeah.
That's great.
Just give the
I
other
will be at Portrait of a Graduate and Track and Turf.
maybe even with Jim saying that, I'll give the other board members a chance to volunteer to take those that aren't here tonight. All right. Our next meeting, October 21st, here in the community center at 7 o'clock. Thank you, everyone. Hope you feel better, Jen.
Thank you very much.